hello. My brother's helping me out here by filming this. I thought I'd do... Finally got the pottery wheel ready to go. It's cold down here, so I've got a heater to help me. I just thought I'd throw a vase. I'm into making these tree vases, which I'll show you a finished one a little later. You're gonna see I haven't thrown anything in about a month, so we'll see what I can do. So first thing I'm trying to do, I'm going to smack this because I want the clay to kind of be stuck to the wheel head. And then I'm going to take some water. And my first thing I have to do is get this centered on the wheel. So it's kind of a two-step process. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to push in and make the clay go up, and that's called coning it. So it goes up into a cone. And then I'm going to flatten it back down. And actually it's pretty centered. Usually it takes me a bunch of times. That's funny. I figured I'd be really rusty. So you can see my hands aren't wobbling at all, which means it's probably pretty good. So if I cone it again, it'll probably take it off center, but I'm gonna give it one more. Part of this reason I do this is, or why potters do this, is they're trying to get the clay particles to kind of line up so that they'll kind of work together. One of my pottery teachers told me it's kind of like if you had a deck of cards and you want them all to kind of be facing the same direction and not be all perpendicular to each other. So you're trying to get the particles to kind of line up within the mass. Now, what I do is I'm going to push on the center of the mound, and I'm going to push down because I have to open this up. Okay, so I've gone down, and I want to leave about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of clay on the bottom, obviously, or it'll break through, and I don't want that. So this is called a pin tool, and I'm going to push it in here and put my finger to the edge of where I can, where the clay is. All right, so it's still too thick. This is from where the clay is to the bottom. I want to get it a little thinner. So I'm just going to push down a little bit more. Yeah, oh, that's pretty good, I think. It's a little thick, but I'll be able to mush it down more. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I've kind of got my depth, and I can get my thumbs in there. What I'm going to do is put the thumbs in, and I'm going to start pushing outward so I can open up the body of the clay. And kind of, as I do it, I'll go in there and kind of push down with my thumb, because what you've got to do as you open it up is you have to compress the bottom of the surface, because if you don't, when it goes into the kiln, it can crack, and it's called an S-crack. And I will tell you, I've never had an S-crack because my first teacher was so good about teaching me how to compress the floor of the piece. Now to really compress it, I'm going to take this wooden tool, this is called a rib, and I'm going to push on the floor of the piece with the rib now, and that's going to really compress it. And that's pretty good, that's pretty flat. Alright, so when you're going to do a high cylinder, a tall cylinder, you're fighting against centrifugal force. So that one of my teachers always said, if you're trying to make a cylinder, it's real easy for that to turn into a bowl. And if you're trying to make a bowl, that's real easy for that to fall into a plate. So this clay is constantly wanting to go out. So my first step is I'm going to push in now and make this circle smaller, because eventually it'll probably be not too far from my diameter, because I'm going to try and get as high as I can. Okay, so I've got a nice compact kind of a donut, And now I'm gonna do the first raise. And basically what I do, I'm gonna put my knuckle on the side of the clay here, and then I'm gonna have my fingers on the inside. I'm not really a professional potter, but this is just how I do it. And then I just push together, and so it sort of forces the clay up because I'm pushing the clay together. It has nowhere to go but to go up. So that was my first pull. And now I'm going to use the sponge. Some people say, oh, that this is cheating, but I just find I do better with a sponge than always using my fingers. So now I'm just gonna do as many push, kind of pulls up. Oh, Pepe's here. Hi, Pepe. All right. So again, because I want this to go tall, I'm gonna push it in again. Because I've got to counteract all that outward force on the clay. All right, so then I'm gonna go back in. Oh, and you know what? I just remembered. I'm not gonna have any way to get the water out of there because I don't have a sponge on a stick. Oh dear. Well, I'll figure something out, I guess. All right, let's see. Okay. And let's go higher. And I'm pushing on the wheel head. There's a lot of clay on the bottom here. I'm trying to push it in to get it into the main body. Okay, so let's see if I can get a little more height. Okay, so that's pretty tall.
Looks like it was getting wobbly at the end.
Yeah, it can. Usually you can try to stabilize it after you've gotten it up there. So I think I'll do one more, try and get a little more height, and then I'm going to start shaping the vase. And I've got to get all that there's a lot of water in the base inside there that I have to get out. But I'm going to give it one more pull up and see if I can get a little higher. Okay, so now I don't know if you can see past the bucket, but I'm going to try to shape this vase now so it'll be more, bellied out. So let's see. So you have to kind of do it slowly or it'll kind of collapse. You can collapse it a little bit, so I'm going to try to not go too fast with the wheel speed. And I'm just pushing out a little bit. And then at the end I'll kind of push back in. And I'll do that again. And you just make a couple passes, and each time you can kind of push it out more. And I think that might be the shape I'll stay with. So now I'm going to actually just get the water out one more time, and then I'm going to shape the top of it a little bit. Maybe make it a little rounder. Yeah, I think that's an okay shape. And then the final thing is I just have to figure out how I want the very top to look. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flare it out a little bit. Okay, I'll get my last bit of water, and I think that's going to be the finished shape. Some of this stuff off the bottom here, so I'm going to have to trim the bottom, so I'm going to just come down with this rib and just start pushing some of the clay away so I can get a little bit of a tapered bottom there. Because I want to get as much of the excess clay off before I try and take this off the wheel. So this is, this is one thing I've never been good at is kind of doing this last bit here. Some people are so good at getting the clay kind of to peel off, and I've never quite figured that out. But, and the thing is, in a day or two, when this is what's called leather hard, it'll literally, it'll dry to the point where it does feel kind of like a piece of leather. Then it's pretty sturdy, and you can turn it upside down, and then I can use some of these carving tools and I can clean that up. But I need to get a rough shape of the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to try and get this off the wheel head. So what I do is I take a sponge with some water, and I'm going to put that on the wheel head, and then I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to take it and run it under the piece and get some of that water under there, and then actually get this ready because it's gonna slide off. Okay, so I'll do that again, and I'm hoping it's gonna catch it. And sometimes it really gets stuck on the wheel. Here we go. I think. Oh, nope.
It's kind of bending over.
Yeah, because I'm putting some force on it. Yeah, see this, I think this clay is a little too wet, but just keep trying. Oh, here we go.
It's scary.
Oh, it'll come. One more. Okay, now for the last little bit, I just kind of push it onto my hand. And then it goes onto there.
Ooh.
And then it's going to dry there. And in a couple days I'll be able to trim it.
While it's drying, you shouldn't let the cats down here.
Yeah, I guess not. So that's how I throw a little vase. So this is a little postscript to the demonstration of throwing the vase. This is a similar kind of vase to the shape I just threw, and this is what I'm talking about with my tree vases. So I actually have a friend who's asked me to make a couple for her, so they're going to be kind of based on this sort of design, and they'll have different background colors.